This week, I discovered that all the officials at the National Cathedral Secretariat are still being paid. And this week, on Monday, they walk to their banks, smiling all the way to their banks, receive their salaries. And it's been going on for 31 months of no work being done. The project was abandoned in March 2022. 31 months, and they are still being paid. And when I tracked the IPPD,
what is your question?
The integrated personnel payroll database, for 31 continuous months, they have been paid. And the three top officials,
these are the trustees.
What do they call the secretariat staff. So
they work under the office of the president.
Yes, they work under the office of the president. So
the secretariat of the
and you've given them very interesting positions. So there is Dr. Popuku Mensah, who is described as overseer of the National Cathedral, overseer of that pit, which has been upgraded to a swimming pool.
I think they took it from the churches, general overseer.
Oh, okay. So this is the overseer of the National Cathedral. This is where he went to cash his salary. Here. Then you have a church relation manager. Church relation manager. Okay. Reverend Father Ebenezer Saka Ameyao. Here. Then you have a program director, Madame Rebecca Lovia Matecho Yakpo. And what is striking is that in the database, they are supposed to be paid all the way to January next year.
A couple of days in the malikbasintale eba abontia oche mu say National Cathedral no adwuma bi ankoso che se omaja adwuma ye for the past years in but onkofo bu on mo board no so anasa mo National Cathedral ho a etwa mu ka ebesinde Apollo Opoku Mensah one of them we is malikbasintale eba abontia be kan o kan ya kire mu e de eye payslip a etwa that gentleman ne ka wa bra National Cathedral na adwuma bi ankoso eba abontene ba besinde Opoku Mensah mba abonte embechire mu say payslip na wa abonte no ntro anase no kana menimu kasa die ofo bebre nso di aba a che say enye eye single month anase double month anase enye say bia 3 months 4 months bi na yetwa omoka o according to information na be come say bia dance say board anase mpenyimfo no moda National Cathedral na no yetwa omoka for the past 31 months in ebusuya je say enda menimu kasa Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa we MP for Northtown eba abontene e wo Metro TV so wo chi mu say enye Opoku Mensah nko an yetwa ne ka wa bra National Cathedral adwuma bi ankoso Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa ebo nkofo mienu din e de ka edin na malikbasintale aboard dadada no a wo chi mu say sakofo ya obo mu din no National Cathedral no eja adwuma ye for the past 31 months in but for the past 31 months in eja adwuma ye no still na ekutwa mo ka wo chi mu say Church relation manager, your friend Reverend Father Ebenezer Saka Ameyao. Where one of them are yetwa omoka, and I say yetwa ne ka besinde National Cathedral adwuma nkoso. Second person, and I third person na obo ni din eka ho programs director Madam Rebecca Lovia Yapo. Ono so eka ho na che say yetwa omoka wa abra National Cathedral adwuma bia nkoso. We ensema Northtown MP no Okujeto Ablakwa ba wontene. Now the shocking thing was akato asubium and say information awo echiremu say enye that particular 31 month nkwa na ebetwa omuka throughout this year any early of next year January they say omoji aketua every year this year akosi December the following year January 2025 no onkofo mo din eda payroll no so no ebetwa omuka we ensema Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa eba bontene ebeka musa yehwe video nembra.
This week I discovered that all the officials at the National Cathedral Secretariat are still being paid. And this week, on Monday, they walk to their banks, smiling all the way to their banks, receive their salaries. And it's been going on for 31 months of no work being done. The project was abandoned in March 2022. 31 months, and they are still being paid. Meanwhile, this is a time that there is considerable labor agitation. Mortuary workers say that you owe them, you are not paying them, They are not meeting their conditions of service. Even PPEs to work, personal protective equipment, they don't have it. They have only suspended their strike, giving you 2 weeks to meet their demands. Senior staff at the universities, TEU, UTAC, and many other
They haven't been paid.
labor organizations say that, including CTAC, that went on the longest strike.
A number of the public universities have not
Yes,
been,
and the universities can't even reopen. And when
So your question is what?
when I tracked the IPPD,
What is your question?
the integrated personnel payroll database, for 31 continuous months, they have
They've
been
been
paid.
paid.
And the 3 top officials,
These are the trustees. What do they call
the secretariat staff. So
they work under the office of the president.
yes, they work in the office of the president. So
The secretariat of the.
and you've given them very interesting positions. So there is Dr. Popoku Mensah, who is described as overseer of the National Cathedral, overseer of that pit, which has been upgraded to a swimming pool.
I think they took it from the churches, general overseer.
Oh, okay. So this is the overseer of the National Cathedral. This is where he went to cash his salary. It's here. Then you have a church relation manager. Church relation manager.
Okay.
Reverend Father Ebenezer Saka Ameyao. Here. Then you have a program director, Madame Rebecca Lovia Matecho Yakpo. And what is striking is that in the database, they are supposed to be paid all the way to January next year.
I don't understand.
Yes. That's how they have been programmed in the database to be paid. So they will be paid in October this month. They will be paid in November. They will be paid in December.
But if they've been paid from April 2022, then as for October to January is nothing.
I mean, so what is happening? When those who are actually working, delivering results.
But are you asking me a question?
Yes,
or you are making-
yes, I'm asking
the
the
question.
question.
So
The question is, why are you still paying these people?
Okay.
When there's no work going on, the project has been abandoned
please ask
for
your
31
question.
months. That's my
Ask your
question.
question.
The
Nana,
question is
why?
very clear. Why?
Yes.
Leading member of the government, why?
Nana, why?
This is a simple question.
Yes, simple question.
It was providing context.
And documentation.
Okay, Randy,
Yes, sir.
thank you for your question. I don't have any doubts that this is a question of public interest. Because the assumption is that these people, really, looking at the state of the cathedral project, there isn't much going on. And so you wonder why people should still be paid in connection with a project that it comes to a standstill. Fair question. But I do not have personal knowledge about this. I ask you that question because I heard you speak. So you have personal knowledge to it. So give me notice and let me find out. Better still, you should file a question in Parliament.
You have not resumed.
We haven't resumed.
No,
well, put the question on notice for the people who process these payments to come and justify why.
I found something interesting. This thing about payment to National Cathedral people, it came with just the overseer.
Yes.
That was the first one. I think it was malikbasintale or
yes.
something that put it out. Then, 24 hours after that, then we saw a publication that auditors have cleared the audited accounts. They've given a clean bill of health, and so
I think Deloitte, eh?
and so the project was going to continue. So when I saw it, I was like, from the comms point of view, I was like, why throw in this thing at this point? Is it to demonstrate that perhaps there's some work ongoing and therefore people are not idle, they're actually working? Then I decided to go and read the details of the report because it suggested that on the basis of that,
The audit
work
report.
will resume because what the other trustees had asked for was an audit so that everybody is clear in their minds before they associate with it. So in view of that clean bill of health that we're told that auditors are given, then it had paved the way for work to continue.
So that means work had stalled because of the audit.
So I decided to go and find out. Only to read that the audit they were referring to was a 2020 audit, year 2020.
Yeah.
And now the report says that 2021, 22, 23 are still outstanding. And I was like, is it really true that this revered man of God put his signature? And that, because I've not seen the letter that the story was referring to, for me to read whether the revered man of God actually signed and indicated that as a result of this 2020 audit, he had paved the way for work to begin. And that he believed that that was sufficient to get to all the others or any other Ghanaian who believes that we need to have transparency in this process before we even think about anything else to do. So I came out and said, that's people. So I told myself in Ghana,
Okay, so Sami,
Yeah.
Obviously you feel these payments of salaries are not justified.
They are not justified. They are not justified.
So-
they cannot be justified.
So the people need to show that these salaries are justified. But Parliament is out of session.
Yes.
So you filing a question in Parliament. What else can you do to seek justification?
I don't even think there's a question of justification. I don't.
Why?
Because you see, from day one till today, government has not taken the position that the project has truncated. Government has not taken the position that it has stopped the project. Government has not. So as far as government is concerned, it is still ongoing. People like Sami and others would raise the issue of whether it makes sense or not. But I'm saying that government has at no point suggested that we have stopped.
It was still be in the public interest because these are public funds. And Parliament has oversight of the public funds. So if an MP believes that public funds have been used in a way that cannot be justified in his mind, his or her mind, he has a right to seek justification. So
Doc,
I believe it's unfortunate Parliament is out of session. Otherwise,
Doc, and you see, it shouldn't be about what government is saying, what the opposition is saying, what civil society, other Ghanaians are saying.
What makes sense?
Those demonstrators who, we have to commend them for their patriotic efforts, going there, opening the barricades and letting the whole world see that it's just
apart from the swimming,
it's just now
because people could have been injured.
A very dilapidated swimming pool.
you are not part of the swimmers.
No,
I thought I saw somebody like you.
no, I wasn't there. What really should concern us is the fact, the truth. When you go to that site, work has stopped. It's been abandoned.
Yeah.
And indeed, I put out a letter that the contractors, Rebade, you remember,
Yes.
in March 2022.
Yes.
Rebade wrote to all their staff, and Rebade is a consortium of Rizani Dieka, Babisoti, and Disimoni. They came together to form that consortium. They wrote to all their staff that because government owes them, which opens another Pandora's box, because you withdraw $58.1 million illegally without parliamentary approval. And apparently the money was not even going to the contractors. So the contractors asked their staff to go home. So since March of 2022, all workers at the site have gone home. That is a fact.
Yes.
So it is not about whether government has declared that the project is continuing or not. Then the other fundamental issue that we need to discuss in this matter is that didn't government tell us that they were not using public funds? That this whole effort is a voluntary effort? Was that not what the president told this country?
Initially.
Yes. And we see what public funds are being used for. Even 31 months into the project's abandonment, they are still paying hefty salaries. And these top three at the Secretariat, over the last 31 months, they have received 2.2 million Ghana cedis. 2.2 million Ghana cedis. I mean, at a time that you have all of these labor agitations, what are you telling the workers? Workers who are actually working, contributing to productivity. What are you telling them? Now, let me address this issue, and I'm glad you raised it. Doc, will you believe that the 2020 audit that the respected, venerable, let me give him all his deserved titles, Professor Apostle Opoku-Nyina, and I saw the statement. He signed the statement. So I read the statement. You know that as part of our oversight in Parliament, we asked Ken Oforiatta to provide, when we discovered the intercepted documents that apparently on our blind side, they were withdrawing public funds. We asked him to submit to Parliament all the withdrawals with dates when he effected those withdrawals on our blind side, because now we had to know. And this was when he appeared before the vote of censure committee. I have a copy of that letter he submitted, following a response, dated 21st November 2022, signed by his chief director for the minister, Patrick Nomo, the chief director at the time. Doc, will you believe that? If you do any audit for 1 year, 2020, according to this breakdown, you are only auditing 0.13% of the releases. 0.13%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. Less than 0.5%. And let me give you the breakdown. According to Ken Oforiatta, there was only one release before 2020. This was in 7 June 2019. Payment of advance mobilization for consultant working on the design of the National Cathedral. That was $89,000. At the time, equivalent to 445,000 cedis. That was the only payment. $89,000. We are talking about $58.1 million. The next release was 5th March 2021. $13.9 million.
So as
at the time, 80.5.
So as at 31st December 2020,
yes,
how much money had been released?
Only $89,000.
Okay.
Had been released, according to Ken Oforiatta. So how does anybody, an audit on 0.13%, come tell us that you have been cleared, you are preparing to resume work? I mean, what do they take us for? What do they take us for? I mean, we respect them. They are spiritual fathers. But they should stop leading us into temptation.
So you will file a question in Parliament?
Stop leading us into temptation. We don't want to be tempted. We don't want them, they say you have touched the anointed. We won't touch them. we can't touch the anointed. But we beg them.
They shouldn't touch us.
Yeah, they too.
They shouldn't tempt us to touch them.
They too. They should stop touching us, poking us, kicking us. You know, why?
No, I mean, when I read it,
0.1%.
When I read it, even without these details, and I was like, they're supposed to have audits covering 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23. Then you say that you have received audit of 2020. It gives you a clean bill of health. So work should resume.
Yeah. Even that
why is that statement?
Even that up to
That's
now.
what's on the screen.
Even that up to now, I put out a statement demanding a copy of that audit report because you see, it's your interpretation.
Yeah, maybe they've given it to the other trustees.
So publish it.
Yes.
Publish. This is
no,
this.
If
You are using public funds. Yes. You are using public funds. This even though you didn't follow due process, it's become a public because you use public funds.
It's a public interest matter.
Exactly. So publish it.
Yeah.
Publish the report. Don't give us your own interpretation of the audit report. Let me continue. 10 February 2021, Ken Oforiatta says he released another 5.5 million. That's 32 million. 29th October 2021, he released another $25 million, equivalent to 142.7 million Ghana cedis. 19th August 2021, he released another $10 million, equivalent to $58.2 million. On 19th August 2021, that was when he released the 58.2 million Ghana cedis. Then 31st March 2022, he released another $3.5 million, equivalent to 25 million Ghana cedis. So the CD equivalent 339 million, you have 3,064 Ghana cedis and 86 pesos. So 339 million Ghana cedis, if you're rounding it up, equivalent to $58.1 million. This is what we auditors are supposed to be looking into. You know, with all of the litany of infractions. You remember the RTI I did to PPA. PPA saying they didn't follow procurement process, they don't know anything about this. Then we haven't even come to all the double identity, criminal conduct, and all the scams that